welcome to Crime Time 911. It was supposed to be a night of celebrating the end of the school year, a party in Calgary's quiet Brentwood neighborhood. Friends gathered, music played, laughter filled the air. But before sunrise, the house was a crime scene. 5 young people were brutally unalived in a sudden, frenzied attack that left a community and an entire country in shock. The perpetrator wasn't even a stranger. He wasn't an intruder. He was someone they knew, someone they trusted. This is the story of the Brentwood 5, a tragedy that raised haunting questions about mental illness, warning signs, and how such horror could unfold in a place that felt so safe. Matthew DeGroot was born in 1992. He grew up in a stable and supportive family. His father, Doug, was a long-serving officer with the Calgary Police Service. His mother, Susan, was deeply devoted to her children. From the outside, Matthew's life looked ordinary and promising. He was intelligent, well-mannered, and academically gifted. As a child, Matthew loved reading and showed a curiosity about the world. Teachers remembered him as a bright student who always worked hard. He wasn't loud or rebellious. He was quiet, thoughtful, and somewhat reserved. Friends described him as polite, a bit shy, and someone who kept to himself, but nothing about him raised concern. In his teenage years, Matthew remained focused on schoolwork. He didn't get into trouble and rarely stood out in a negative way. His grades were strong, and he had clear goals for his future. Those who knew him recall that he seemed destined for success. After high school, Matthew enrolled at the University of Calgary. He studied psychology with a minor in law and society, excelling in his courses. Professors described him as a serious student, attentive and intelligent. By 2014, he had graduated with distinction, an achievement that set him apart. His next step was law school, where he had already been accepted. It appeared that his future was laid out in front of him, a respected career, a stable life, and every opportunity for success. Graduated with distinction means a student has achieved a high level of academic success, typically indicated by a strong overall grade point average or GPA, or a specific percentage threshold which is noted on their diploma and transcript. While the exact requirements vary by institution, it signifies outstanding academic performance beyond the standard graduation requirements. So clearly this guy was very intelligent. He was destined to be a lawyer by the sounds of it. He graduated with, really great grades. Right. What could go wrong, right? He seems like his whole life is basically laid out for him in a nice, neat little package. But as Matthew moved through university, subtle changes began to emerge. He became more isolated, pulling away from friends. Conversations grew stranger. His social media activity began to focus on dark and unusual themes: world wars, dictators, secret societies, and the end of days. To some, it might have seemed like eccentric interests, but to his family, these changes were worrying. In the days leading up to April 2014, those closest to him noticed a sharp decline. His messages became cryptic and unsettling. He spoke of apocalyptic events, warning his parents about danger. On social media, he referenced the Illuminati, biblical prophecies, and the idea that the world was on the verge of collapse. On April 14, 2014, Matthew left work early. That evening, he sent his parents a series of disturbing texts. They included references to the Book of Revelation and warnings not to come near him. His mother was alarmed. His father went out to look for him, hoping to find him safe. But Matthew had already made his way to the Brentwood neighborhood, where a small student gathering was underway. The party at the Butler Mansion, which is a nickname students called the small gray and blue split-level house because it was located on Butler Crescent, was calm and friendly. It was part of Bermuda Shorts Day, a long-standing tradition at the University of Calgary, marking the end of classes. Friends from high school and university gathered to celebrate. It was not a large event, just a relaxed get-together of people who knew and trusted one another. Among them were 5 young people who would later be remembered for their talent and potential. Lawrence Hong was 27, the eldest of the group. Born in the Philippines, he had come to Canada with his family as a child. He studied urban design and dreamed of shaping better, more innovative cities. Friends described him as gentle and thoughtful, with a warm smile and a deep love for community. Katie Paras was 23. Dance was her passion, and when she performed, her joy radiated to those around her. She was strong-willed, determined, and had finally found her calling in life. Her family remembered her as someone who never gave up, someone whose confidence grew as she pursued her art. Jordan Segura, 22, was known for his patience and kindness. Raised by a devoted mother, Jordan studied history and religion. He worked part-time at a funeral home where his compassion touched grieving families. He wanted to become a humanitarian, dedicating his life to helping others across cultures and countries. Josh Hunter, 23, had music in his soul. A gifted drummer, he was known for his huge hugs, his easy laugh, and his warm spirit. Music wasn't just a hobby, it was his life. He played in a band with his closest friends and dreamed of taking it further. That band also included 21-year-old Zachariah Rathwell. Zach was creative, talented, and determined. A guitarist and lead vocalist, he had a voice and style that set him apart. Just 2 days earlier, Zach and Josh had celebrated the release of their band's first EP, marking what should have been the beginning of something big. So I didn't know what EP stood for, so I'm sure that some of you or anybody who's not in the music industry probably doesn't know what that means. So an EP is an extended play record, an audio recording shorter than a full album but longer than a single, typically featuring 3 to 5 songs. It serves as a crucial early release for new musical acts to establish their sound, attract listeners, and build a fan base, making it a popular and significant step in an artist's career, particularly for emerging bands. This band was definitely trying to make it in the world, and who knows, maybe they could have made it big if this tragedy hadn't happened. These 5 young people represented everything hopeful about youth: ambition, creativity, kindness, and potential. But that night, the celebration took an unexpected and tragic turn. When Matthew arrived at the party, he immediately seemed different from everyone else. He spoke of conspiracies, vampires, and the end of the world. He gave someone a clove of garlic, saying they would need it later. He handed over a sharp object, making ominous remarks. His words unsettled those around him, but the group did not sense the danger that was about to unfold. Shortly after 1 a.m, the gathering descended into horror. In less than a minute, Matthew turned on the people around him, attacking them one by one. The scene was chaotic, sudden, and devastating. By the time police arrived, 3 people were already gone. 2 more were rushed to the hospital, but did not survive. These poor students were just trying to celebrate the end of the school year together. They certainly were not expecting to be viciously attacked by someone they knew. The fact that they were caught off guard had likely allowed Matthew to inflict even more damage had they had known that something tragic was about to happen and were able to defend themselves. Such a tragic incident for sure. Calgary police quickly located Matthew nearby. He was subdued and taken into custody. Even then, his words revealed the depth of his delusions. He claimed to be Jesus, spoke of vampires and werewolves, and said he had acted to stop something darker from happening. In his pocket, officers found latex gloves, and he had garlic in his socks. So clearly, Matthew had some serious mental health issues going on for him to believe everything he was telling people. It's too bad that his parents or close friends hadn't thought about getting him the help he clearly needed before it was too late. Maybe this whole tragedy could have been avoided. Investigators pieced together his recent behavior. In the weeks before the incident, Matthew had spiraled into paranoia, consumed by delusional beliefs. On social media, as mentioned before, he referenced war, dictators, and the end of days. Hours before the tragedy, he sent disturbing messages to his parents, leaving them terrified for his well-being. In 2016, Matthew stood trial. There was no dispute about what had happened that night. The question before the court was his state of mind. 3 independent psychiatric experts testified that he was in the midst of a psychotic episode caused by schizophrenia. They concluded he could not understand that his actions were wrong. The judge accepted their testimony. Matthew was found not criminally responsible. Instead of prison, he was sent to a secure psychiatric facility under the authority of the Alberta Review Board, where his case would be reviewed each year. For the families of the Brentwood Five, this outcome brought little peace. They had lost their children, and each year they were required to appear at review board hearings, reliving their pain as they delivered victim impact statements. Instead of closure, this process reopened their wounds again and again. So I'm glad that Matthew is getting the help that he so clearly needs. I am sure once he had a clear mind, he was devastated to learn what he had done. In a lot of cases, I don't necessarily believe that the perpetrator should be using the insanity plea, but in this case, it was clear that he was not in his right mind. As for the families of the victims, I understand how this sentence has not brought them the closure they deserve, especially when they have to relive that tragic day and the loss of their loved ones year after year. This is a lose-lose situation for all involved. The case reignited debate across Canada about the not criminally responsible designation. Supporters argued that it was a humane system, ensuring treatment for those who were severely unwell. Critics, especially victims' families, worried about the public safety and questioned whether someone with a history of extreme violence could ever safely reintegrate. On that April night in 2014, Calgary changed forever. 5 young people lost their lives in a tragedy that no one could have predicted. Lawrence Hong, Caitlin Perez, Jordan Segura, Josh Hunter, and Zachariah Rathwell. Their names live on, remembered not only for the way they passed, but for the lives they lived, lives of talent, kindness, and promise. Their families continue to honor their memory, even as they carry the weight of the loss. The Brentwood tragedy remains the darkest incident in Calgary's history, a reminder of fragility, of questions still unanswered, and the lives cut short before their time. Don't forget to follow, like, and share this channel. It helps more people discover these stories and keeps the conversation going. Thanks for listening to Crime Time 911. Stay safe, stay curious, and remember to always trust your gut.